I'm not gonna lie, I had to go back and look at my last video of the Miss C because I'm like, I forgot where I left off. So my last video I did of her was 8 months ago. It's like, what the heck? I left off with saying, remember, I thought she was gonna hit me with the broom, and she was telling me to get out of her house, and she was telling me not to log into the logbook, and she was telling me, you know, just get out, just go. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, fine. Don't have to tell me twice. Shit. I was going out, you know, and then she stopped me and she goes, wait a minute, are you gonna be back tomorrow? Do you guys remember? That was the last time that I talked about it. So I was expecting her to be pissed off at me, mad at me, whatever. Because, you know, I walked in. I came back a week later. But then I was like, she's probably not even going to remember. Like, you know, what am I tripping about? Because I was afraid she's going to be mean to me. Slap me or kick me right when I walk in the door. I didn't know. You know, you don't know. I go up to the door, ring the doorbell. I'm standing there and I'm like, oh God, is it going to be one of those games? Then, like, the third ring of the doorbell, she answers it. And I was like, oh, yes, I don't have to play, you know, this game with her going around the house. Back door, front door, back door, front door, back door, front door. Yeah, I can make a lot of jokes about that. So she let me in and the door opens and she's glaring at me through that screen, you know, that you can't really see through. You can just see silhouettes. And I'm like, good morning, Miss C. She was like, morning. And then she started to unlock the screen. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna interrupt. For those of you who are watching me and don't know about my Miss C story time videos, you have to go back and watch them. I'm gonna try and put them in a playlist for you guys. If you don't know how to do that, I'm sure it's easy. I can figure it out. So I walk in and I put my bag down. And she's just staring at me, like she's glaring at me. And I walk past her and I'm like, good morning, you know, being all nice. And she's just glaring at me and she's staring at me weird. So I put my bag down and I turn around. And she has her arms crossed and she's tapping her foot, tap, tap, tap on the ground, you know? And I said, Miss C, is there something wrong? I said, can I help you with something? Can I get you something? I said, what's the matter? And she just kept, you know, tapping her foot on the ground and looking at me. She wouldn't say anything. So I said, Miss C, it was awkward. She was just staring at me, wasn't saying anything. So I was like, Miss C, do you want to go sit out on, you know, the back patio with me? And she's just looking at me. And then she goes, you know, her arms are crossed. And then she just like unfolds them and she like starts walking and she walks right past me after her sneers and snickers. She wasn't looking at me. She sat there and she crossed her legs and folded her arms and she was just looking outside. And I sat down on the chair next to her. And like I said, I didn't know this was my last day with her, so I would have made it a little more memorable, but I had no clue. So I was just like, oh, it's just, you know, one of those regular days with her. So it was awkward. Like we're just sitting there not saying anything. I said, Missy, how's your day been so far? I said, did you sleep good last night? And she looked up at me and she's just staring at me. And she goes, you were supposed to be here last week. Excuse me. So she was mad at me and I had no clue. I didn't even think she remembered me at that point. You know what I'm saying? So she's like, you were supposed to be here last week, like glaring at me. And I was like, oh, yes, I was. I'm so sorry. But the company never called me to come back here, so I was waiting. I never got a call from the company, so I was waiting to be called to come over to see you. So it's really not my fault. It's you know, I wasn't scheduled with you. So as I'm like telling her, I'm like, well, they didn't really, you know, nobody called me. It wasn't on my schedule to be scheduled with you. As I was saying that, she was like, I can't do it with food in my mouth. She goes like this. Just like that. You know, she didn't stick her tongue at me. She just went, and then she goes, I don't want to hear it. And she gets up and she just walks past me and she goes in the house. And I'm like, okay, believe me or not, that's your choice. Whatever. She walks in the house and I'm like watching her, right? I'm like, whatever. So she walks in the house and I'm just watching her. She's standing at the kitchen. You know, the kitchen window was like right there off the back. She's standing at the sink. I don't know what she's doing. She's like, she's running the water. And I'm like, I know she ain't doing dishes because there ain't no dishes in there. Like, what is she doing? She's just standing there with the water running. And she was looking down. No, she stood there about 30 more seconds and then she turned the water off and then she came back outside and she laid down on the couch this time. And I'm sitting there and I said, Missy, is there anything I can help you do? She ignored me. She just shrugged her shoulders, you know, like she's getting all comfortable and she laid down. I was like, okay. And she shut her eyes. So I was like, she's gonna take a nap. I got back on my phone and I started like reading a recipe or something, or I was looking at I was reading recipes a lot back then because I would go home and cook, you know, after work. Or I was on TMZ. So I believe I was looking at a recipe, right? And I was like, I swear, I'm not kidding you. This is not a joke. I was looking at a recipe and I can't remember what it was, but it looked so freaking good. You know when you read a recipe, like your mouth starts watering? And it gets you right here like, oh my God. I don't know. Maybe only fat asses do that. I don't know. But I literally was reading this recipe and my mouth started watering. I had to swallow just reading it. And under my breath, you guys, I was like, Oh, it's so good. Just like that. Yeah, I talked to myself out loud. I don't even know why I did that, but I did. I whispered it. There's birds chirping, you know, like there's a million 90, what do you call it, stray cats, you know, meowing, walking around the yard. There's traffic in the background. The wind's blowing. I mean, you could hear a butterfly fly by your head. It was, and I said, oh my God, that looks good. You know, just like talking to myself. And then she goes, can you be quiet? I'm trying to take a nap. Always reading about food. God, I'm not kidding. She scared me. Okay, because I thought this bitch was sleeping, okay? She scared me when she said that. She said it so loud and hateful, too. So I'm like, oh my God, that looks so good. Would you be quiet? I'm trying to take a nap here. And I was like, I jumped a little bit because I totally thought in my mind she was sleeping. So, you know, I wasn't prepared for that. Like, so I kind of jumped just a little bit, not like outrageous, but I said, oh, I'm so sorry. I thought you were sleeping. I was like, bitch. But then I was like embarrassed because she's like, you're always reading about food. And I said, how did you know I was reading about food, Missy? And she goes, well, you said that looks so good, so I can only assume it was food. And I was like, I just chuckled to myself. I said, yes, actually it is. Okay, I'm reading a recipe for dinner tonight to feed my family. And she goes, and she kind of like closed her eyes again. I said, Missy, why are you always ugly and hateful? And why are you always body shaming me and all the other caregivers? Because she did that to every single one of them. It wasn't just like she just picked somebody. She did every caregiver that went in there, told them how fat they were and stuff like that. I asked her that before, you know, why are you always doing that to me? Or why are you talking about my weight or something like that? That's rude. I said, why are you always body shaming me, Missy? Why are you talking about my weight like that? Like, I really genuinely want to know. Does it give you pleasure? Does it make you chuckle inside? Does it make you feel better? Or do you think it's going to really hurt my feelings and, you know, you're just going to shut me up? Because I'm really curious as to why you do it. Of course, she ignored me. She flat out ignored me. I said, Missy, hello, did you hear what I said? And she still ignored me. And I was like, that's funny, because I literally whispered under my breath, talking to myself, and over all the animal noises and the traffic and the wind and all that. Oh, you heard that just fine, but you can't hear me talking to you right now? She still ignored me. I go, oh my God, that looks so good. I want to rip into this magazine right now. You know, I kind of like whispered, said it. Oh my God, it looks good. I want to rip into this magazine right now. And then she turns around and she opens her eyes at me. And then I look at her and I'm like, yes. And she's glaring at me, right? And I'm trying not to laugh. But then I go, oh, you got to see this. And I flipped the magazine over and I said, look, tell me that doesn't look delicious. I think it was like a cake recipe. It was like a cake. Because I had a picture of a big cake and then, you know, the recipe on the side. Excuse me. I said, oh my God, Missy, look at this. And I flipped the magazine over to her. And she's looking at it. And I said, you can't tell me that it don't look good. And I'm trying to like break her in on a friendly basis, you know, like get her interested in something. She had to sit up for this one. Like this woman, like she couldn't just say it. She actually sat up. Okay. She got so worked up. She just sat up and she sat there and she turned her body to me, like, you know, off the bench. And she leans in and her arms are on the bench, you know, and she goes, you are truly obsessed with food. And not everybody looks at a picture of food and needs to go change their panties. Not kidding you. This is like the side I've never seen to her before, because she's never talked like that to me. I was just like staring at her. Like I wanted to bust out laughing, but I didn't want her to know that that was acceptable behavior to talk like that to somebody that's taking care of you. Have to go change their panties. And then she turns around and she lays back down. And I said, like that. And I was like, Missy, that was very ugly. I felt like I was talking to a child, you know. I was always trying to like discipline her or, you know, scold her, correct her, something like that, because she was a very independent woman. But the company wanted us there for, you know, mental reasons and just to watch her, make sure she didn't hurt herself. We weren't there to take care of her because she could do it all on her own. She could cook, clean, everything. This woman was in her 90s. It was crazy. And she was that big around. Super tiny. She looked exactly like the woman on The Visit. You guys remember that movie, The Visit, where the grandkids end up going to a different set of grandparents' house? It was like the wrong grandparents' house. That was a freaky movie. That kind of freaked me, scared me a little bit. I love it. I love that movie. So go watch The Visit or look it up or something. The old lady in that movie, this is the best way I can describe her. That's what she looked like. I just put my head down and I was like, you know, I was laughing to myself, but I was like, oh my God, this woman. She turns over and she starts to fall asleep again. And then I'm like sitting there and I'm like, you know, with my magazine, and food makes me that excited. I need to go change my panties. I don't know about you, but it does for me. Yeah, that's what I said. She didn't respond to that or like attack me on that one. I think she really was sleeping at that time, but that's what I said to her. Food does that to my kind of shit. And when she heard me, she acted like she didn't hear me, so I don't know. She takes her nap, and then after the nap, she finally gets up, and I'm still sitting there. I'm still sitting there with my magazine, right? It's the Food Network magazine. And because I would buy them at the store for my job. Because, you know, when you take care of old people, you know, some are so sweet. Oh, God, I love old people. You know, and you're just sitting there and you need downtime. You get something to do. And she wakes up from her nap 2 hours later, and I'm still sitting there with the Food Network magazine. And she rolls over and she goes, oh my God. Like, she looked at me, she goes, oh my God. And I was like, what? What is it? She goes, you still have that food magazine? And I said, oh yes, I'm just looking through it, skimming through it. She goes, I've been sleeping for 30 minutes. It was actually 2 hours. I've been sleeping for 30 minutes and you still have that magazine? She goes, I told you you're fat. And so she gets out. I'm just laughing. I'm just laughing. I was like, yes, I am. I'm still sitting here with my fat ass food magazine and I'm enjoying every minute of it. And she just goes, she's like snarkling, you know, like that at me, and she just like I said snorting. She gets up and she comes around me and she goes, hungry? And she goes, oh yeah, you always are. And she kept walking. She says snarty stuff like that all the time. So yes, I am. I throw it back at her, you know. I'm just not gonna. Sometimes I would. Other times I'd just be like, that's not very nice, you know. So she goes in the house. Oh God. She's like, I've been sleeping for 30 minutes and you still have that food magazine? Bitch, you've been sleeping for 2 hours and yes, the fuck I do have that food magazine. So what? So she goes in the house. I guess she went to the bathroom or something. I'm laughing. I'm like laughing out loud to myself. And I'm just like, oh my God, what the hell? So I was like, that's it. So I put my magazine down and I went into the house to see what she was doing or where she was at to get attacked more. I'm a glutton for punishment. She did go to the bathroom because when I went in there, she was in the bathroom. So I went into the kitchen because I saw that she was in the bathroom. I'm sitting there and she goes, oh, you came from the backyard just to sit at my island, huh? Oh, I guess you really are hungry. And then she goes, well, if you're hungry, you have to wait till... It was weird because she would throw you like a rude, hateful like diss your way, you know what I mean? Like she'd attack you with like these hateful things and then she'd turn around and like make up for it in a weird way. It was very strange. Like here's an incident. And she's like, oh, you're always at that, or you're sitting at that island because you're ready to eat, aren't you? Something along those lines. And I just like turned and looked at her. I didn't say anything. Before I could even say anything, I was about to say something, but before I could, she goes, but if you are hungry, you're going to have to wait till my hair appointment days on Wednesdays. Then we can go to Johnny Carino's. And then she walked back outside. See, she'd do that. She'd throw like, you know, an insult your way. And then she'd turn around and like make up for it in a weird way. What the hell is it? Am I too fat to eat, or you're just inviting to make up for your ugliness? I don't know. Or she feels bad? Yeah, right. So she goes to the backyard. She gets back on the bench. She sits there. I'm like, okay, should I sit here? I'm gonna sit here. She is like attacking me for no reason, nonstop. I'm not doing it. I'm not going out there because she's gonna constantly just hurt my feelings. I'm kidding. She's just constantly be on me. So I'm like, no. So I stayed there. And I was thinking to myself, well, I left my fucking fat ass food magazine out there, honey. Why don't you pick it up and read a couple pages? Or eat them. So that's pretty much how the rest of the day went. She stayed on that bench. Whether she was looking outside or kind of talking, she would talk to herself sometimes. Very rarely. Not a lot. I talk to myself all the time, so shit. Or sleeping. That's what she was doing. So I stayed in, and then she was out there. She'd come back in, go to the bathroom, go back out. I would move from the island to the couch. It was getting towards the end of the day, and she didn't want lunch, of course. You know, I actually got up and went out there. That was the only time I got up and went out there after she was insulting me all damn day. Or all morning, I should say. So I went out there one more time, and I was like, Missy, it's getting, you know, towards the end of the day. I was like, can I get you anything before this last hour is up, before I leave? And she's like, no. Did I ask that? No. I was like, okay. Well, I'm gonna go back inside. And she goes, mm-hmm. So I just turned around and went back inside. I stayed at the island after that point because I could see her and I didn't want her sneaking up, you know, behind me or something like that. That's freaky and scary. I don't trust her. So I stayed at the island where I could see her in front of me and she wasn't behind me. So I'm like looking at the clock. I'm like counting down the minutes. Like I said, had I known that was gonna be my last time I ever saw her, I would have made it better. Been nicer, more patient, you know? But I didn't know. The last 30 minutes that I was there, I can't even tell you what happened. Like, I thought my day was over with, cool, you know? Oh, thank God. You know, I get to go home and be with my people who love me, my family, nice. Remember I told you guys, I said, oh, you're not gonna believe what happened? It was kind of boring, my last day with her, but you won't believe what happened. I'm about to tell you. She walks in the house and she, walks behind me. And I'm like going like this, because I'm like, she wants to cut me or something. And it ain't going down like that. I promise you, it ain't going down like that, bitch. So I was like this, kind of looking down, but kind of like that. I didn't want to go like this for her to see my head turn. So just like that kind of thing. She just slowly walks by me, and she had this shuffle walk when she walked. She did it on purpose too, because that bitch would sit out there on that bench and do these aerobic exercises where her leg would come up to here, the other one up to here. She was very limber and very tiny and very light on her feet. So she would do this shuffle walk just to piss me off or to irritate me, or I don't know what it was. I can't put my finger on it. I don't think she was doing it to be mean. I don't know, but she did it. It was only when she was walking behind me. She wouldn't drag her feet until she got behind me, and then she'd start to drag it. I'm like, what is this? What? She goes to her back room, and I know, we were told by, our boss that if she goes to her back room, just, make sure you pay attention, like make sure you listen, and that she's not going to do anything, or she comes out in the appropriate amount of time, because they didn't want her back in her room a lot by herself. I don't know why. They just didn't. So I'm sitting there listening. I'm like, okay, whatever. I could stick it out 30 more minutes. What's possibly going to happen? You're told to never say that for a reason. I'm looking at my phone right now because I'm watching it, like stalking the time. I'm like, you know what? I don't care. She can do what she's going to do. But I'm almost done here. As far as being ugly to me. From my peripheral vision, because I'm looking down. And it's a long hallway, so I could see, but I couldn't see details. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes you can see details in your peripheral vision. Like, big ones, not small ones. So I could see that she was standing there, you guys. Yes, standing there, okay? Down a long corridor hallway. She's standing at the end of it, just staring at me. I'm looking at my phone. I don't see an image on the side of my vision. And then I look out the window and I look back down, and then there's an image there. And I was like, oh, hell no. Is she just standing there staring at me down this freaking hallway? That's some The Shining shit. I don't think so. So I got the creeps. Like, I got chills up and down my body. Like, I really was that uncomfortable because I don't know. Stuff like that I don't handle well. Like supernatural or something, you know what I mean? Like she's possessed or something. So I'm looking down my phone. I'm like, please God, tell me that's not her standing there. Please God. I can't look right now, but please tell me that's not her. Please. I look back up, out the window outside, and I'm just like, God, I'm gonna look back down, and it's gonna be, I look back down at my phone, and there's the image still there. So finally I'm like, I gotta see if it's her, I have to. So I turn my head and I look. You guys, she is standing there with the most creepiest look on her face, and she had a bag, a Walmart plastic shopping bag, and she's holding it, and I could tell there was something in there because it was heavy. And she's standing there holding it like this in front of her, like right underneath her boobs, like holding it, just standing there staring at me with both hands with this bag. And then I said, Miss C, are you okay? I said, what are you doing? And I instantly started getting up, you guys, because I got that creepy feeling. I got really up. I don't know what it was. I was like, okay, I'm leaving. I told myself I'm leaving. She's giving me chills. I'm leaving. So she didn't say anything to me. And then I said, Miss C, what do you have in your hand? What's in the bag? I'm getting up as I'm grabbing my purse. I'm grabbing my little bag, and she starts walking towards me very slowly. And this time she wasn't doing the shuffle walk, so I knew she meant business. And she started walking faster and faster. And I'm like, what the? So I go over to the couch. I said, okay, I'm going to go now. My time's up. Even though I had like 20 minutes left. I was freaked out. So I grabbed my purse. I was like, oh my God, she's coming at me. And then her walk got slower and slower. I had my purse, my bag. I wasn't even going to log out. I was going to tell my boss, what happened. Like, I meet her. The hallway, so I went past the hallway to grab my purse, so I couldn't see her anymore. But I could hear her. I'm like, she's coming at me fast, and what the hell is in that bag? Someone's head? Like, I didn't know. So I come around the corner from getting my purse, and I'm like, oh God, Lord Jesus, help me. And I'm like going around the corner, and then all of a sudden she's right there, and she stops. She goes like this. We're like this far away from each other. So finally she goes, before you go, I'm gonna need you to wash these. And she hands me this bag. She like throws it at me. So I grabbed it, and I was like, okay. I said, what is it? She's never asked me to wash anything for her ever. The whole time I worked with her, I kept asking her, do you want to wash some towels, some clothes for you? No, I don't need you people. I can do it on my own. Why are you people even here? Don't touch my things. So then I look in the bag. I'm like, okay, I can wash something. I was happy that she asked me to wash something for her because I felt like I never did anything over there. I just felt useless and it frustrated me. So I wanted to do something, So I was like, okay. So I was like, thank God I put my shit down. And I was like looking through the bag to I opened it to look through it to see what she wanted me to wash. As I'm opening the bag, there's another bag. And then I hear this chuckling. It's her walking off into the den area and she's chuckling. I've never heard her laugh before. And I opened the second bag and woof, it hit me right in the face. It was the worst smelling. See, I can't even talk. Oh my God. I'm getting full. You can't tell. It was the worst smelling shit smell I've ever smelt. Like just pure human shit. And it was her panties that were full of shit. And this shit was fresh, people. Okay, it wasn't like, oh, I just shit my pants. Can you wash my shit for me? No. I seriously think she went back to her room, she shit in her panties, then she put it in a bag, and then she handed it to me because she knew I was leaving. I think that's what she did. I could be wrong. It was too fresh. It was not crusty or petrified or nothing like that. It was fresh. So I know that bitch just shit her pants. She shit her panties, and then she handed it to me. Not kidding. So, and she was laughing. She was chuckling. When I told my family this story, you guys, they were rolling. I'm not kidding. And I immediately closed it, right? And I tied it. And I started like dry heaving because I have a very weak stomach when it comes to shit like that. I started gagging. And then she's chuckling like the freaking she-devil in the next room. And she's like, just like that. And I put the bag down. I said, Miss C, I said, yeah, of course you're laughing. I said, first of all, those are your panties in there and they have fecal matter on them. I said, was that on purpose or an accident? And she just wouldn't stop chuckling. She wouldn't stop to even answer me or nothing. I said, okay, I'll take care of that for you. No problem. I said, but I'm glad you're laughing. I kind of think that you did this to me on purpose. It wasn't an accidental thing. I was so mad. But then as I was bringing the little bag to the laundry room, I started dying laughing. I was like, did this bitch just shit in her panties and give them to me? What the fuck? Oh my God. I threw those bitches in the washer with some bleach and laundry soap. And I put that shit on long hard wash. And then I walked up to her. I was like, okay, Miss C. I said, I'm leaving now. I put your panties in the washer in about an hour and a half. I was like, in an hour and a half, you have to put them in a dryer. I said, do you think you could do that? An hour and a half for a pair of panties. Damn fucking right. Okay, that shit those bitches had shit in them. Hour and a half for one pair of panties. So she's just looking at me. She didn't say anything. I said, so in an hour and a half, you had to put your panties in the dryer. Can you do that? Can you remember that? She's just staring at me. I said, okay, I'm gonna go now. She goes, bye. I said, okay, bye. So I turned around and I started walking off. And then she goes, wait. And I turned around. I said, oh God, what now? And she goes, are you coming back tomorrow? She might as well have shit in my hand. Like, really. Hold out your hand. Let me take a shit in it. Just threw her shitty panties in my face. And now she's asking me if I'm going to be back tomorrow. Yeah. Oh, are you going to be back tomorrow? I said, I don't know, Miss C. I said, I have to see what my schedule is. And she goes, oh, your schedule. Too busy for me, huh? I said, I don't know. I'm trying to get past you threw your panties in my face with poop in them. I'm trying to get past that right now. But I will ask what my schedule is. I was getting irritated at this point. And I will let you know. You know, it would have been different if she would have had an accident, you know, and said, I am so sorry. Can you please wash these? No problem. Of course I can. Let me help you, honey. I think she purposely did that shit because our company was working with her for so long and they told us do not do her laundry. She does it herself. She doesn't want anybody touching her laundry. So I think she did on purpose. Be an asshole. Or a dick. I'm trying to get past the poop in the panties in my face thing. She's just staring at me. She goes, okay, well, let me know if you're going to come back tomorrow then. I'm like, okay, I'll call you. Well, how am I supposed to let her know? I can't call her, you know? But I said, okay, I'll call you. It's just what I said. I was that irritated. And then turn around and like she was about to lock the door behind me. Yeah, that was a very interesting last day with her. So I was supposed to be scheduled with her all that week. And then the following week. Well, the very next day, I was told that, you know, you're not going to be working with her the next day. So I was like, okay, well, just let me know when. They said, okay. And then I got an email and then I got a phone call. And my boss said, well, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to work with Miss C anymore. I know you're getting like comfortable with her, attached with her, but they're moving, you know, because they went back to her hometown. Her daughter-in-law took her back to her hometown for her final resting days because that's what her wish was. They informed me that they're moving, so our company's no longer working with her. So that made me really sad. I just wanted to make the last day with her better, but oh well. And a lot of you asked if Missy is still living. Well, come to find out, I read her obituary online literally 3 months after I stopped working with her. And it was crazy because everybody in my job and everything they would always say, even her daughter-in-law, her family would be like, you know, her working with you really, really changed change things. Like it was almost like she was living for you. And then when you didn't come back, her daughter-in-law told me that she would sit and just look out the window, like watching for me. She said you really had an impact on her life, and you were one of the very few that were very sweet to her, even though she put all you guys through crap. And I was like, wow. So her daughter-in-law told me we actually have each other's numbers, and she texted me and she said, thank you for working with her. You know, she'll never forget you. This is something that, you know, I know that you working with her changed her or comforted her that much that she hung on that long, because she lived for so long, so healthy, so, you know, like on the go. She was never still, never sat down. And then 3 months after I stopped working with her, she just started declining. Her daughter-in-law said, and I was like, what? She's like, yeah. She said, ever since we stopped working with your company and you would stop coming over, she just gave up. She just stopped doing everything for herself. She shut down, basically. So I read her obituary online, and it was pretty awesome. Yes, so Missy is no longer with us, you guys. But sometimes I kind of like, I don't know, I get weird feelings like she might be watching me. I'm not kidding. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and story time of my last day working with Miss C. Wasn't like my other Missy story times, like she would do some crazy stuff, but the poop in the panties, like, come on now. That was a bit much for me. I'm like, I've raised 6 kids, I wiped 6 asses. I'm done, okay? Done. I've seen poop in panties one too many times in my lifetime, and I'm good. Oh god, teasing me about my weight all morning and then shoving her shitty panties in my face. That's what she did.